Hi, boys and girls. How are you today? It's so good to see you on this beautiful summer day. How many of you remember from last week what this very special box was? This is called a Zadaka box. Do you remember that hard word? Zadaka. Zadaka box. Do you remember what a Zadaka box was for? I'll give you a little hint. Remember, we did a story about a lady way long time ago when Jesus was walking on the earth, and she went to her synagogue, and remember, there was a box outside. And do you remember what they put in the box? That's right, they put money in the box. Right through that little hole. Can you hear it? And that's how much money the lady had put in the box. Now, do you remember when they would fill that box up? Do you remember what they would do with that money? They would give that money to God. Now, that doesn't mean they handed it to heaven so God could reach down and grab it. Didn't mean that. That means they would use it to help somebody that was maybe in need and needed food or was hungry or didn't have any money. Or maybe they would give it to the people in the temple who taught God's word. Or maybe they would use it to help fix up the temple if something was broken and needed fixed. This was God's money. And we learned last week that when we give to God, He gives right back to us. And today we're going to do another story about giving. And we're going to talk about lots of pennies today. Do you see how many pennies I have up on my board? Oh, Miss Kathy, that would be really hard to count all those pennies. I'm going to teach you a shortcut today on how we can count all this money and not have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and just keep counting, because that would take us forever. So we're going to look at the money. And I have a bunch of groups of money. And let's see how much is in each group. Okay, you count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 pennies in that group. 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So all of these groups of pennies have 10 in them. Okay, are you ready to watch how Miss Kathy counts them? Okay, you watch. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 pennies. Whoa! How did I do that? That's called counting by tens, not 1, 2, 3, 4. 10, 20, 30, 40. Do you think you can do that? We'll go really slow for you little guys, okay? So you big guys help us out, okay? We're going to count by tens, okay? Ready? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. You did a good job. Should we try it one more time? Now, everybody should be able to do it, okay? It's a really fancy way to count, okay? Ready? One more time. Ready? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 pennies. Now, why, Miss Kathy, are we talking about pennies today? Because we're going to find a different kind of giving box. And this is Susie's giving box. Susie is the little girl in our story today. Are you ready to see it? It's this color. Do you know what color that is? Miss Kathy has it on right here. You know what color it is? Oh, I want to show you. It's pink. And it's an animal. And it oinks. And it's got a curly tail. Oh, I showed you. Oh, look at those cute little beady eyes and that cute little nose. Oink, 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 oink. This is Susie's giving box. Now, remember our giving box had a hole in the top? Well, this is Pinky the pig. Pink. Pinky the pig. You ready? Oh, look, it has the same kind of hole on the top. Just like that. And what Susie would do is Susie would put her money, because Susie would work around the house and her mommy and daddy would give her money on every Friday. And every week she would put money into Piggy. And Piggy sat on her dresser, and Piggy was such a cute little piggy. And sometimes Susie would pretend that he was winking at her or moving his little tail, which of course he wasn't a real piggy, so he couldn't do that. Now Susie, like I told you, she wanted to put God's money inside Pinky, but she didn't know how much to put in, because she had learned at church that for every, let me move this over so you can see my money. Can you see my money now? Let's see how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. For every 10 pennies that Susie would earn, she learned that she should tithe. Have you ever heard that word before? Tithe. Maybe you've gone with your mommy and daddy to church, and you'd sit in church and they would pass a basket around, and mommy and daddy would put an envelope in there. That's their tithe. So for every 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pennies that mommy and daddy make, they give one of them to God. That would be like taking our group of 10. Say that's how much money Miss Kathy has. That would be like cutting one of them off. Let Miss Kathy cut one of these off. Taking one of them and giving that to God. Giving that so that people who preach and teach about Jesus have some money. That's called tithing. Now, Susie wanted to do that. She wanted to put some money in Pinky and save that to take to Sunday school and give to God. But here's the problem. Here's how much money. Whoa, look at that. Look at all those pennies. That was Susie's pay. That's how much money Susie would get on Friday if she did all her chores and she took out the garbage and she cleaned for mommy. Mommy and daddy would give her this much money. Now we're going to see how much is there, and we're going to use our special little trick we learned, counting by tens, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pennies are in all of these rows except this one. Okay, so we're not going to do this one right now on the bottom. We're just going to count these rows. Okay, remember our 10, 20, 30. Okay, here we go. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Oh, let's count these extra ones. 71, 72, 73, 74, 75. She got 75 cents from her mommy and daddy every week. Okay, so she knew she had to give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pennies to God. But what about these leftover 5? What was she going to do about that? Well, Susie had a big brother, so she asked her big brother. She said, how do I do this? How do I give God 7.5 cents? How do I do that? And her big brother was very kind and very wise. And he said, Susie, why don't you just give God an extra penny? And she thought, well, that's a really good idea. So every week when she got her money, let's count how much she puts in. Okay, you ready to count with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's her extra one, 8. So every week when she got her money, she would put in 8 cents. And she saved and she saved. Now, Pinky never got fatter, but Pinky sure got heavier as she kept putting that money in. Well, the one day she went to Sunday school, and there was a special lady at her Sunday school class. Not her teacher, not her regular teacher. This lady was from India. India is very, very far away. And the lady from India was a missionary. And she was telling all the boys and girls in Susie's class that there were boys and girls in India who didn't have enough to eat. They would go to bed very hungry. And the missionary said they want to tell all those boys and girls about Jesus, but they're very hungry too, and they have to have food for them too. And Susie thought about that, and she thought, I'm going to put extra money in Pinky every week because they were going to have a big offering and give all the money to the missionary from India. And she worked and she put her 8 cents, and she would even put extra in some weeks and put in 10 cents or 12 cents. And Pinky was getting heavier and heavier. But one day, Pinky got really scared because Susie came into her room, and instead of putting money into Pinky, she turned him upside down and shook him and shook him and shook him and shook him. And pennies started falling out all over the place. And Pinky's like, why am I being all shook up? Well, Susie wasn't giving that money to God because tomorrow was Sunday, and she wanted to buy a brand new purse to take to Sunday school with her. So she took all of her 75 cents. Let me get her 75 cents. She took all of her 75 cents she got that week, and plus she took some money out of Pinky. Now, she didn't take it all, but she took a lot of it. And she went to the store and she bought her purse. Now, the whole time, something inside of her was saying, Susie, that's God's money. You were going to give that money to the missionary. But she kind of blocked that out. And she just wanted that purse. She just wanted to look so pretty on Sunday morning. And Sunday, she went to church. And, girls love to get new purses. And she wore her new purse, and it was so nice. And she sat down in Sunday school, and her teacher had a big surprise for them. The missionary from India had sent a picture of one of the little boys who would be getting all of the money that Sunday school class was saving. And they were going to get all that money and buy rice cakes and buy food. And this would be one of the little boys that would be getting the food. Well, Susie looked at that picture, and she looked at that little boy who didn't have enough to eat. And all of a sudden, her beautiful purse didn't feel very beautiful anymore, because Susie was feeling really badly inside, because she knew she took that money that she had saved for the missionary and she used it to buy a purse. Well, she went home from Sunday school that day feeling so very sad. And she sat down and she had a good talk with Pinky the pig. And she said, Pinky, I took some money out of you that I wasn't supposed to take. That was God's money. So here's what I'm going to do. When I get my payday this week, I am going to put all the money that I get, all 75 cents, I'm going to put it back in you, Piggy. And next week, when I get my next 75 cents, Pinky, I'm putting it all in your tummy. Because my Sunday school teacher said in a few weeks, we are going to have a big offering and we're going to send all that money to India. And Susie saved and she didn't take any of the money out. And she even put a picture of the little boy right near Pinky so she would never be tempted to touch that money. And she saved and she saved, and Pinky got heavier and heavier and heavier. And finally, the Sunday morning that they were going to take the special offering came. And she took Pinky and shook all the money. And she had so much money saved that it wouldn't even fit in her fancy new purse. She had so many pennies in there. So she had to get her old purse out and put all those pennies in and take them to Sunday school and give that money to God. And Susie, she felt so great inside because she knew that all that money she had saved would help someone else tell a little boy about Jesus. Now, God loves when we give. And we're going to do a Bible story about giving. Because remember our verse last week? Let's do our verse really quick so we can remember. Do you remember where it was found? Do you remember how to say that word? Luke 6:38a, because it's just the beginning of the verse. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together. Luke 6:38a. Let's try it again because it's been a long time since we've done it together. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together. Luke 6:38a. Well, we're going to do a Bible story now. The Susie story was kind of a made-up story, but we're going to do a Bible story. Let me get all my money down because I'm going to need my board. We're going to do a Bible story about a lady who gave to God, but it wasn't money. It was something else. And we're going to see how God gave back to her. Now, we don't even know what this lady's name is. The Bible doesn't tell us what her name is. It just tells us that she was from a town named Shunem. And every once in a while, this man would come through. Now, this man was a very important man. His name was Elisha. And Elisha would come to this woman's house and her husband's house, and they were so kind to Elisha. Now, Elisha would travel around and he would tell people about God. He was called a prophet, and he would go from town to town, and sometimes he would get very tired. And the Shunammite woman and her husband would always have a nice dinner ready for Elisha and let him rest so he could go and do God's work. Well, one day, the woman was asking her husband, she said, wouldn't it be nice if we could do something really special for Elisha? Because he does so much for God. Maybe we could do something special to make his job a little easier. Now, remember, we talked about houses made way back then, and they had a flat roof, remember? Okay, now you're going to see something different, okay? So be really smart and be looking, okay? There's her house. Look what she did. Do you see the difference? Look at the house. Look at the house. What's the difference? Oh, Miss Kathy, what's that little room up there? Well, she and her husband, they made a room for Elisha. Kind of like a hotel room. Well, it was kind of a place where if he was traveling through that town, he could stay. Well, they had to put some furniture in it. So the Bible says they put a bed in there, a table. Now, if you have a table, you have to have a chair, and you have to have a light, a candle, a candlestick. So a bed, a table, a chair, and a candle. And every time Elisha came through the town of Shunem, he would stay at his own little hotel that this woman and her husband made for him. And he could rest on the bed or sit at the chair. And he loved having that special place. Now, she didn't give money like Susie did, but look what they did. They gave Elisha a room. Well, Elisha was so thrilled. Elisha asked his friend who helped him. He said, I want to do something special for that woman and her husband. They were so kind to me to build this beautiful room where I can rest. What could I do for her? And Elisha's servant, checked with the woman, and he said, is there anything you really would like that Elisha could maybe get for you to say thank you? And she said, no, there really isn't anything I really want. I have everything I need. I have a beautiful home, and I'm well taken care of. But there was one thing that she wanted very badly that she didn't have. They're very noisy, and sometimes they're a little bit smelly. And sometimes they cry a lot. She had never had a little baby, and she wanted a little baby so badly. That was her heart's desire, was to have a little baby. Well, Elisha went and prayed and said, God, this woman has been so kind to me. Her and her husband went through all that trouble of building a beautiful room for me, and they take such good care of me and they feed me. Could you please give that woman the desire of her heart and give her a little baby? What do you think God did? A year later, that kind woman would get the desire of her heart. God would send her a little baby, the little baby that she always wanted. God gave her so much more than she gave to God. And that's how God is. When we give to God, God gives back to us. Now, it might not be a crying baby, but he does give back to us. So let's do our verse one more time, and let's think of this woman who got something back because she gave to God. Let's try it again. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together. Luke 6:38a. Do you remember the sign for give? Take all your fingers and squish them together like that. Okay, and point them to each other like that, like they're talking to each other. Give. Give, like you're giving someone something. Give. Give. Okay? Give. Ready? Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together. Luke 6:38a. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together. Luke 6:38a. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together. Luke 6 and 38. One more time. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together. Luke 6 and 38. Thy word have I hid in mine heart. Thy word have I hid in mine heart. Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee. Psalm 119:11. Hid, hid, hid. Thy word have I hid in mine heart. Thy word have I hid in mine heart. Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee. Psalm 119:11. Thy word have I hid in mine heart. Thy word have I hid in mine heart. Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee. Psalm 119:11. Do you remember how to sign pink? Good job. Do you remember how to sign yellow? What's my door with a yellow pig? Yellow. Do you remember how to sign? What color is it going to be? Blue. Good job. Do you remember how to sign orange? No, you don't. Do you? You remember? Orange. Good job. Do you remember how to sign green? Good job. Oh, let's see what else. Oh. Red. Red. Good job. Remember, when we give to God, He always gives back to us. And we can give Him our time, we can give Him our treasure, and He always gives back to us. I love you, boys and girls, and we'll see you next week.